I'll bet one of the things you love about America is we are bastions of free speech. But I hate to rain on your parade. We are not number one in free speech. We're not number 2 or 3. There's a new global study that just ranked the U.S. 9th in the world in free speech. We have dropped 6 spots since 2021. We're behind Venezuela, for God's sakes. They outrank us. Let that sink in. A country built on the First Amendment is falling behind and doing so fast. So what's happening in America? Well, I'm here to tell you the real story about who's allowed to speak and who isn't. Let's look at some headlines. Maine's censure of lawmaker for post about trans student athlete is an attack on free speech. Supreme Court orders Maine House to restore vote of state lawmaker Laurel Libby. Maine MAGA parent silenced at school board meeting during speech opposing trans athletes in girls' sports. What's happening in Maine?
Well, welcome to Maine.
February 17th, Republican State Representative Laurel Libby criticized Maine's policy allowing bio males to compete in girls' high school sports. Now, she shared 2 photos that had already been published. She didn't go dig these up. These had been published, and so she just republished them. One of a student competing as a boy, and the other competing as a girl. That was her crime.
Maine girls will not get fairness in Maine. And when the woke left can't silence women, they cancel them.
So what was the punishment? Well, the Democratic Speaker of the Maine House demanded she take it down. Representative Libby refused and was censured for her reprehensible actions and barred from, get this, speaking and voting on the House floor.
Boys participating in girls' sports is not fair.
She's actually practicing freedom of speech and standing up for girls in Maine.
She posted 2 pictures reflecting her thoughts, her opinion. She spoke freely. She was no longer allowed to speak on the House floor, and she couldn't vote. Was she the only one punished? Well, I don't think so. Her entire district was silenced because she's there representing them. So they shut down the voice for her district. She sued, and she lost. She appealed to the Supreme Court of the United States for emergency relief, and the Supreme Court stepped in and said, yes, her voting rights must be restored for now. But it doesn't stop there. This same thing is happening to regular citizens. Same state, Maine, Augusta, school board meeting. There's a father, Nick Blanchard. He steps up to speak. He's wearing a MAGA hat and a T-shirt of Governor Janet Mills that says, "You're fired." Governor Janet Mills clashed publicly with President Trump at the White House over transgender athletes. He thanks the board for defending girls' rights.
Good afternoon, Augusta School Board. I'd like to start off tonight by saying good job and thank you to the 6 members that voted to go back to the 2020 interpretation of Title IX. And shame on the 1 board member that voted no.
I'm sorry, but negative comments will not be allowed.
That I have started a petition that Augusta concerned parents, both Republican and Democrat, are signing. This petition is asking if you, the school board members, will put up a vote to have Miss Kim.
I'm sorry, that's not going to be tolerated.
She's also a public...
I'm sorry, it will not be tolerated. I'm going to ask you to step from the podium.
He thanked the board for defending girls' rights under Title IX. Then criticizes the 1 member who didn't. Guess what? They cut his mic. They told him negative comments are not allowed. Wait a minute, what?
That's the 2nd warning I'm going to give you about making defamatory remarks about
How was that defamatory remarks?
I know it was.
That defamatory remarks.
I don't have to explain it to you.
This is a public meeting, and negative comments are not allowed. You can only come down there and pander to the board. You can only come down there and tell them you agree with them. No negative comments. Look, the state representative that was censured and silenced and voting rights taken away, and this father are not extremists. 63% of Maine voters believe sports should be based on biosex. 66% think girls' sports should be for bio girls. So these are people expressing majority views. So now the majority views are labeled dangerous or hate speech? How is that possible? Thomas Sowell blames a liberal mindset. Thomas Sowell, he's with the Hoover Institute at Stanford University. Brilliant man. He writes, quote, "What the political left, even in democratic countries, share is the notion that knowledgeable and virtuous people like themselves have both a right and a duty to use the power of government to impose their superior knowledge and virtue on others." He's saying people who think they're smarter than you don't try to convince you, they just try to control you, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to say, and tell us to shut up when we try to debate the merits. They're smarter. They've got it figured out. So what you need to do if you disagree is you need to shut up and sit down.
Why don't you sit down and shut up?
What? Let the adults speak. And the weak, they give in, they go along. They become what Lenin called useful idiots. Even the left knows it's gone too far. My good friend Bill Maher warning his base that they are wrong, that they've lost their minds on DEI, on gender ideology, on censorship.
And that's why this debate goes on. And the fact that you think, or a lot of people on the left think that even if you just have this debate, it makes you a bigot, you just have to roll over. That was, you asked about the Biden administration. That was their position. If you even question this, you're some sort of a bigot.
But they can't walk it back. Why? Well, because doing so would admit they never had real arguments just to begin with. It's like bumper stickers. We don't have bumper stickers anymore. I know that's aging me, but it's just a slogan. Things that rhyme. But now they've got no face-saving way to get out. They've got no graceful exit. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to think about transgender athletes. Make up your own mind about that. What I'm here to tell you is you have the right to your beliefs. You shouldn't have to whisper your beliefs. You may think transgender athletes have a right to compete. If that's what you think, say it. You may think, no, they shouldn't have the right to compete. If that's what you think, say it. You shouldn't have to whisper or apologize for it. We used to agree across party lines that free speech mattered more than political speech. The ACLU, who I often disagree with, once defended the rights of Nazis and the KKK. They believed if free speech didn't protect the worst of us, it would not protect any of us. Not anymore. They sold out. Now the ACLU picks and chooses whose rights to defend. Liberals are leaving the First Amendment behind. It's not me saying that. That's Ira Glasser, former head of the ACLU. Look, the American people know something's wrong. You know something's wrong. 73% of us know social media censors political views. They don't like it, they censor it. 61% of Americans say they self-censor. Get that? 6 out of 10 people say they will muzzle themselves for fear of retribution, for fear of being judged. Among Gen Z, 72% say they muzzle themselves. So what's the conclusion here? This isn't democracy. This is ideological coercion. Look, there are a lot of people that say they used to be Democrats, and when you ask them, why aren't you now? They say they didn't leave the Democratic Party. They say the Democratic Party left them. It disintegrated. And if the Democrats are going to have any hope of finding a following, finding a base, getting back on their feet, they need to go back to their roots. They need to welcome debate. Come on. I get criticized on my show, Dr. Phil Primetime, for giving a voice to both sides of issues. You know I'm very pro-Israeli. I condemn what happened on October 7th. I condemn what happens on our college campuses where we have young people out there cheering on terrorist groups that have killed and imprisoned Americans. And I have given a voice to some pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas so people know who we're talking about. I give them hell when they come on. I fight them to the core. But I do let them speak.
As of 2 days ago, 25,000 Palestinians were killed.
Listen, there were 2 million Germans killed in that conflict. Are you saying that that means that the Germans were right and the Brits were wrong based on head count? And people say, why are you giving him a voice? Because I want people to know who we're dealing with. I don't agree with them. I fight them to the nth degree. That is what Hamas has made very clear. From the river to the sea.
No, from the river to the sea means you have the Jordanian River, the Mediterranean Sea, the land in between is free. Everyone in between is free. I am not going to allow you guys to try and use Hamas's words and say that's my word.
I'm not saying those are your words. I'm saying that Palestine has elected Hamas as their leader. Real progress means you can defend your views, not just cancel those who question them. You need to judge ideas by results, not intentions. If free speech doesn't apply to everyone, it applies to no one. Let me tell you, a lot of people say stuff about me I don't want to hear. But they have a right to say it as long as they're not lying. This is what America desperately needs right now for a rebirth of its soul and sanity. And trust me, that is the real story. And I hope you like hearing these real stories. And if you do, follow, tell all your friends, because I'm going to be here every day telling you what I think about what's going on in the news. And I'm doing it to get you thinking. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. Hit the eject button. But if I made you think, I did my job. Hopefully, I'll see you next time. Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, Dr. Phil here. My network, Merit TV, has it all.
Now, let me blow your mind.
Merit TV's got the news that matters.
The selection of a new pope.
Entertainment you crave.
Busted. Everybody in a good mood today?
And live events.
Surprise.
What am I, chopped liver?
With serious punch.
Big shot!
Go to merittv.com and download the Merit TV app today.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. Your savings are at risk. With the economy on shaky ground, the dollar losing value, and a $2 trillion deficit, things could spiral. Don't wait for the worst. Take control of your financial future now. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. What are you going to do to protect what's yours? Claim your special offer and learn how to reinforce your financial future. Visit drphilgold.com to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Visit drphilgold.com today.